Welcome, SonicWall channel partners. How you doing today? So I am going to bring in a very special guest. We're going to talk about, as you all know, 3 and free, but what's it included now? We are upgrading the remote access solution that you're traditionally using with SSL VPN, and we have a new product that's been brought down to the SMB level that's called Cloud Secure Edge. And with that being said, I'm going to bring in a subject matter expert. Oh, not a subject matter expert, but a vest wearing expert. Hey, JT, what's going on?
If you give me the power to make my own title, never know what might happen.
I love it. So, hey, JT. So I always like getting out there talking to partners. I just moved to SoCal territory. So I want to go get out there and talk to them about, hey, what's new, what's hot from SonicWall, and what can they take advantage of, right? We talking 3 and free. We're including a handful of these, what we call Cloud Secure Edge licensing. What is Cloud Secure Edge, right? Because from a traditional, every day before we had the CSE product, I think I had to log into 9 different cloud applications, put in some codes on my phone, and as a non-technical guy, it's a little frustrating. So want to walk us through what it looks like maybe for some of our customers and then how you can alleviate some of that challenges?
Sure. So, at a high level, everyone's seen this screen before, right? And then you click next and you get your username or your code, and then you get your code from your phone or push notification. It's like, isn't there a better way? Can there be a better way to connect? And that's what we're talking about today. So CSE, Cloud Secure Edge, is a ZTNA, which stands for Zero Trust Network Access product, or sometimes gets abbreviated as SSE, Secure Service Edge. Really, all that means, non-technical words, is a modern VPN or a modern connectivity solution. With people working from home, working remotely, working on the road, and with the reality that applications and data now live in multiple locations along the cloud as well as on-premise, the traditional, like you mentioned, SSL VPN solutions, they just don't work as well. So you have performance issues. Users sometimes complain about that. You have these huge security risks associated with it, right? A lot of CVEs, those are critical vulnerabilities released in the SSL VPN market. And then also it's like, isn't there a way to control my users when they're at home? So all those things come together in our CSE product. We allowed content filtering, DNS filtering, as well as secure access to both cloud and on-premise resources.
Yeah, speaking of that, access to resources in the cloud, right? Hey, we've got a major release that we just came out with. I like to use a couple of scenarios, right? Think Google Chromebooks. So for those of you that may be in the education marketplace, what happens if little JT takes his Google Chromebook home at school? He's at home. He's thinking he can go on to any websites that he wants because he's not behind the elementary school firewall. What do we have? What do we have out there now?
Yeah, at a minimum, we're helping maintain that protected perimeter that the schools have at their corporate office or their facility out to the edge. So when those kids take the Chromebooks home, you can enforce content filtering and DNS filtering policies. You can filter based on category or based on domain, meaning you can stop things like violence, pornography, self-harm websites, as well as you can get reporting and data around who might be trying to violate those permissions.
So if I'm a principal of a school and I need to see what violators out there, I can go see the little JT Fanning.
Chris Zarlacki would show up on the list for sure. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, we all know that. I tend to get myself in a little bit of trouble, right? So, hey, with that being said, I'm going to take that off the screen.
Sure.
I'm a visual guy. So can you do me a favor? Can you walk us through let's put myself in the sales side. I'm an everyday user. I don't need the tech behind the scenes, but what is my experience going to be like from an everyday usage standpoint? So I just shared the screen. Go ahead and fire away here.
Yeah, almost like we planned it. So at the beginning of the day, user starts their day off. They log into their laptop with their username and password, right? Like their Windows credentials in most cases. Okay. The only thing the user would have to do that day is kick off the CSE app one time. I'm going to show you what that would look like. The user would get this nice screen. It's on my other window. It says login successful. Boom, they're activated. Now you see for the next 23 hours and 59 minutes, I don't have to do anything. At the same time, a VPN tunnel was automatically created, or what we call a service tunnel. And that gives me access to all these private locations. Those could be SonicWall firewalls. They could be other devices behind the networks. Those could be in the cloud or on-premise. And then we also publish URLs, helpful little links to make it simple for the user to click on the applications that they need to access. So that instead of having to teach a user to use some special icon or link, they can use the single application to access their resource. What's really cool, and I think, Chris, what you and I kind of hit on pretty often is this idea around trust scoring and the fact that in addition to maintaining the user's profile, right, username, password, two-factor authentication, we also make sure that the device has a minimum level of trust to access those resources. So on my screen, you'll see things like auto update, is the Windows firewall running? I know, Chris, you like the one that's like, is screen lock turned on an iPhone or an iPad?
Yep.
I'm on the right operating system. If you're a managed service provider, you might want to make sure that people are running your RMM agent so that you can control their device. All of those things allow access to the resource. If for some reason one of those resources was to change, I'm going to simulate me turning off the Windows firewall. You'll see what will happen for the user. As we refresh and let this load up, the user will be allowed to know that they don't meet the trust standards of the organization. So once this pops up and everyone sees it, boom, I've got a low trust score. As a user, there's a couple things I could do. One, what most of your users will probably try to do is access the application anyways. They'll try to log into their resource and they'll get presented with a nice customizable landing page that says you don't have access to this resource.
Right. So as this is loading up, so that's the key thing, right? Is going to be, hey, it's kind of self-selecting. So we're trying to eliminate the bottlenecks of you getting a voicemail saying, hey, my VPN connection is down, right? This is going to auto-populate, and you're showing here customized scripting saying you don't have permission because of your geolocation is not correct, or your policies aren't updated, et cetera, right? So it eliminates some of those phone calls to the IT department.
Yep. And if they, like for us here at SonicWall, this is my actual machine I'm running on. If I wanted to resolve this issue, I can click this Get Help. It actually points me right over to the ticketing system for SonicWall. And so I would immediately jump to the ticketing. Additionally, if I jump back to I'm going to stop this for a second. If I jump back to the app and I'm a user that's maybe a little more technical, or I want to try to solve the problem myself or whatever, I could click on this link right here, the part that's X'd out, and it will give me a customizable message as to why I'm failing that. So if it's something like the Windows firewall, and I'm smart enough to know that I should turn that back on, then as a user, I don't have to wait for your help desk ticket. I don't have to call into the managed service provider and say, hey, I can't get connected to my network. So when this trust score comes back, I'll then be able to access that application.
I think one of the messaging here that we can talk to our partners is like, hey, this is going to be replacing what you used to sell for SSL VPN as well as protecting cloud users, correct?
Yeah, so not only would you be able to lock down people accessing things that are behind a firewall, but you could also secure access to resources that are in the cloud, something like Microsoft Office 365. And through what we call IP whitelisting, you can make sure that the user that's going to Office 365 connects to the SonicWall Cloud infrastructure first and meets all of these standards.
Yeah. And I think one of the cool things, you just saw JT's trust score went green, right? I think the main messaging is this, right? In the old school method, SSL VPN, once you're through that, in the firewall and SSL VPN, the firewall is not inspecting what's going on my endpoint, whether it's my MacBook, whether it's my iPhone. So if for whatever reason I'm hanging out with little JT, down in Dallas where he is now, we go to a bar and he plugs in a USB stick and my SentinelOne, my CrowdStrike, whatever my endpoint security picks up a threat, it's going to automatically give my trust score low. It's going to disconnect my access to the corporate VPN, so I can't further, send malicious code through the corporate network. And then it's going to make me see what I need to do, whether it's remediate my laptop, turn on my iPhone screen lock, whatever it may be, right? And so just makes it a clear, more clean solution for our customers, right?
Yeah, and Chris, for those partners that are managing like bring your own device networks or trying to support customers who don't have managed endpoints, it's a way to extend some of the manageability that they want or that they need out to those devices without having to install endpoint agents and control services. So it can reduce the cost of managing BYOD devices as well.
I'm going to bring you up on full screen. Let me ask you a couple of use case scenarios as well while I got you here. So the first one I'm going to ask, let's talk about, hey, what if I got customers that need to limit access things to like Microsoft SharePoint, for example?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier, IP whitelisting, we can actually restrict logins to your Microsoft platforms via the SonicWall private IP range that you would get. For those technical folks, that means that you could restrict internet-facing applications to a very small range of IPs, which substantially reduces your footprint on the web.
All right, let's give you another scenario. What if I want to lock down something like, let's say, remote desktop protocol?
Yeah, one of the most common things we replace SSL VPN for is performance issues, right, related to remote desktop. So there's a native way to connect this application to remote desktop protocol, which means it's high performance, high throughput, all delivered over a WireGuard tunnel. So your users have a better experience and you can make them more secure.
All right, last question, because we want to try to keep it under 10 minutes here. Do I have to have a SonicWall firewall in order for the solution to work?
No, you don't. You can do it with any manufacturer out there. We support Linux, we support Windows installs, OVA files. So there's multiple ways to deploy what we call the connector. But if you do have a SonicWall firewall, the connector is built in, making it easier to manage and easier to deploy.
Perfect. So I appreciate it. So, hey, everybody, just keep this in mind. We are here. I got people like JT. We've got SEs all across North America. Let us help you out. Get us an appointment with your customers. We'll do the demos. We'll walk them through this. We want to be there with you from a partnership standpoint. But think of it this way. This is the next way to secure your remote access for your customers, right? And so it's a hot thing. We look forward to working with you. Again, as a reminder, we are bundling in a handful of one-year licenses as part of our 3 and free upgrade. But JT, keep me honest here. We sell this both in a multi-year license, either 1, 2, or 3, or as part of our monthly MSP service provider program. They can procure this as a consumable method. Say, hey, start with the finance group, start with the IT group, and then add on different divisions, right?
Yeah, high margin opportunities or just direct sale, resell options. So annual SKUs or monthly.
All right. Well, hey, JT, I appreciate it. Maybe I can play some theme music on the way out. Have a great time this weekend in Dallas. This will be coming out on St. Patty's Day, March 17th and March 18th for some of our partners. So thanks, JT.
Top of the morning to you.
Yeah, exactly. Have a good one, buddy. Bye.